Hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again, and today we are looking at the last trade paperback collection for the Fables spin-off series, Fairest. For the last few weeks, we've been looking at each trade paperback one at a time, and today we're looking at the final trade paperback collection, which is Volume 5, called The Clamour for Glamour. So this collects 7 issues. This collects issues 27 all the way through to 33. The first 6 issues are, as we're probably accustomed to by now, a single arc, a single story called The Clamour for Glamour. And then issue 33 is something a little bit different we'll talk about in a second. So, what's the main arc about? Who's the Disney princess, Fable princess type character in this? There isn't one, really, to be honest. This arc, bizarrely enough, is pretty much all about Reynard the Fox, um, who is not a maiden. And Reynard has at this point got the power to switch between a fox form and a human form. He goes out to the Mundy world, as in the mundane world, and does just, a bunch of random shenanigans, probably the best way to put it. There's also at the same time a concurrent story happening in the actual mundane world in Fabletown, or more accurately, the farm. And this 6 issue story is pretty decent. It's kind of just a mix of the two narratives, like Reynard out doing his thing out with humans, and then random political shenanigans and various kind of intra-community beef within the fables that is going on in the farm. Um, it's okay, but it's not great. It's pretty good, but I don't think it really kind of is up in keeping with the Fairest stories or the really good Fairest stories you've seen before, stuff like Cinderella and things like that, or the Snow White story. So generally speaking, I'm like, yeah, this is sorry, not Snow White, Briar Rose story. So generally speaking, this is okay. It's definitely not a bad read, and again, of course, is better than Jack of Fables. But at the same time, it's not great. It's just kind of another Fable story. It's interesting. It's quirky. Like a lot of the general Fable story arcs, a lot of them end up being kind of like interesting, quirky kind of explorations of a character, and that's what this is. It's an exploration of Reynard the Fox. Like I say, it contains issues 27 to 33, so you've got issue 27, 28, 29. This cover here is issue 30. This is the front cover. I know it looks like it's not the front cover, but it is the front cover. And it starts right in the middle of the comic. The front cover has got speech patterns, word balloons, usual framing. Literally, it starts off on page 1 of the comic. This is actually an event that was running across several Vertigo comics for this particular month. It was called the Defy Covers month. And 4 or 5 different Vertigo comics did this. They didn't have covers. They just started off with the cover being page 1 of the actual narrative with action and dialogue and various things. I don't know why they did this. Don't know what the thinking of it is. It's hella confusing if you pick one up because you're like, has someone ripped off the front cover? I don't really add anything. But I'm pointing out here in case you do pick this up as singles. It was like a weird gimmick that they did, but it's all good. Anyway, after that, you've got issues 31 and 32 that finish off the Clamour for Glamour arc. And like I say, it's decent, but not great. You then have issue 33 with this cool landscape cover. It's all about Goldilocks, and it's all about, well, it's kind of like a retrospective of Goldilocks, just talking about like a whole load of adventures she has. So it's very much kind of a monologue retrospective of her and her various shenanigans getting up to in various different mythical worlds that she travels to. It's okay. I mean, actually quite like the character of Goldilocks. I think she's really good, but at the same time, this doesn't really do much with that story, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and then it says this is the end of issue 33, and this is to be continued in what's going to come next. Now, what's going to come next is Fairest Volume 6. I know what you're thinking. Thomas, you said at the start this was the last Fairest trade paperback, and this is because this collects issues 27 to 33. Volume 6 of Fairest is a standalone OGN. It's not a trade paperback. In other words, it doesn't collect any single issues. It is a standalone trade paperback, and in this case, it's also available as a standard size hardcover called Fairest in All the Land. It doesn't even have a volume prefix, really. So it's the next thing that I'm going to be reading. It follows on from this because at the end of issue 33, it specifically says to be continued in Fairest in All the Land. but frankly, I don't really know where that fits in overall in the narrative. From what I gather, Fairest and All the Land, which is our homework for next time, is a very much Cinderella-focused story, and obviously we've already seen Cinderella in the trade paperback volume 3 of Fairest, which we saw a couple of weeks ago, and that in and of itself was an epilogue to the two Cinderella miniseries, which we haven't got to yet. So I'm trying to kind of piece this all together in my mind. Catch up with me next week. Let's see where we are. But the homework for next time is going to be Fairest, technically volume 6, but also technically not, the original graphic novel, In All the Land. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.